Straight talk, roundtables, great guests. This is Elias Makos on CJAD 800.
Let's go party.
It's the battle for the summer box office, Barbie versus Oppenheimer. Two very different movies that have many of you gearing up for a weekend double feature. Let's find out more. Let's figure out which movie we should watch first. And we go to the movie critic over at the Washington Post, Ann Hornaday, who joins us on the line. Hi, Ann.
Hello, Elias.
It's great to talk to you, Ann, and I'm so excited about this weekend. I am someone that has been waiting a while for this. You know, normally I like to lead the discussion, but on this one, I'm going to ask you the question that a lot of people are asking. Which movie should we see first? And that'll be the one we talk about first. What say you?
Well, you know what? I am going to sort of punt in that I think I will suggest seeing them the way I saw them because I had such a great experience. And so the first one I saw was Barbie. I got to see a screening of that on Monday night, and then I saw Oppenheimer on Tuesday night, and I was quite happy with that pairing in that order.
In your time being a movie critic, can you remember a weekend like this where there were two blockbusters in such a juxtaposition about just competing, styles and different types of worlds and reality versus, something that comes from a children's toy? Can you think of something like this in the past?
Oh boy, that's a trick question. I mean, I'm sure it has happened, and if I had done my homework, I would have probably given you at least a few examples. But certainly in my I've been at this for almost 30 years now, and nothing really comes to mind in terms of not just the movies themselves, but just the amount of chatter and hype around them. I think a lot of this is heightened by the fact that we're still in a post-pandemic world. And so it just feels like the stakes are even higher, than they have been in the past in terms of, especially movies that are opening distinctly in theaters. Yeah,
and they say timing is everything, and it just seems the timing is right for both of these films. So let's start off with Barbie, the one you saw first. What should our listeners know? What's your take on Barbie?
Barbie, to begin, Barbie is delightful, and I just want to emphasize that I was really entertained and delighted and amused through most of it. I don't necessarily think it is a complete home run, and I can go into a little bit more detail about that. But this was undertaken by the writer-director Greta Gerwig, to kind of be the first one out of the gate with a big feature film, live action feature film based on the Barbie doll. And she just had so many sort of boxes to tick and agendas to satisfy and viewers to satisfy. And I think that in many ways, the big question around this movie is who's the audience? Because on the one hand, is it young girls who still play with that doll? Or, still sort of are familiar with that doll? Sure. But then it's also for people closer to my age who played with her 50, 60 years ago and have developed a much different relationship with the doll. And do you make it for the cultural critics who are looking for all the feminist implications? And so Greta Gerwig has answered yes to all those questions. She wants to kind of please everyone. And I think, I don't think that the movie necessarily sticks the landing, but it's really ambitious and creative. And I think she took a lot of risks that, for people like me, movie reviewers, we want to see people do more of that. So, and I may not be able to say that it was, like I said, a hit the ball out of the park, but there was just so much to value in it. And namely, since we're talking to Canadian radio, Mr. Ryan Gosling.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk a bit about the cast, right? Because that's one thing when it comes to a film and it being a success, the casting. It seems like they went to great lengths to find a cast that fits into the Barbie universe. How'd they succeed there?
I love the casting. I mean, Margot Robbie is like a human Barbie doll. I mean, she is just so sort of preternaturally beautiful. And she's also, it's not just a matter of physical beauty, but it's of spirit. And it's that kind of that innate sweetness, but knowing this too. And this movie has sort of a subtext, not even a subtext all the time, but this kind of, underlying ironic tone to it that is interrogating as much as it is indulging. And I think she can carry both of those things at the same time in a really smart way. And then we have a really interesting, supporting cast with Issa Rae and Hari Neff and Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, which I really enjoyed. But then we get to Ryan Gosling as Ken. And I mean, he has some of the film's best production numbers, best singing numbers. He kind of steals the scenes, the ones that he's in, as this sort of clueless blonde lunkhead who means well but just has no idea what he's doing in his life. And he plays it so completely straight, and I can't say enough about him. He really is just wonderful to watch.
Let's just talk briefly on the marketing machine that has gone along with this Barbie movie. Do you think that's also part of the success, the even before this movie has launched or it comes out? Like, do you think they've nailed it when it comes to the marketing aspects to make this movie as big as it can be?
Yeah, I mean, you cannot deny it. It's been it's a juggernaut. It's just a big, fluffy, pink juggernaut. And it's not just the marketing, but it's also the earned media, meaning outlets like mine, the Washington Post. We've run several articles about Barbie just because, and not because we want to be part of the marketing push at all, but it's just that is one of those iconic products that has such an emotional resonance for people, and such a transgenerational resonance for people, that it just, you say the word, like of all of the movies, well, of any movie really, this is the one that people ask me about when they bump into me, in the real world. Have you seen Barbie? What's it,
Yeah.
And that's across ages. It's mostly women, but men are interested too. And so I just think you're talking about a really transcendent brand identity. That, yes, I agree that Mattel and Warner Brothers have really been masterful at building awareness for this movie, but the fans have done it too. I mean, it's like,
yeah, for sure.
The whole thing right now is that studios want to make movies about pre-existing intellectual property. In other words, things people already know and care about. And this is like, even before the movie opens, I feel like it's been proof of concept that people really care about Barbie.
And for someone like me, I never played with Barbies. I've never been interested in Barbie at all. I am somehow interested in this movie. Let's go from Barbie to the bomb, literally. Let's talk about Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan. How'd he do with his latest film?
He blew, this is no pun intended, but he did blow me away. This movie is just magnificent on pretty much every level. I just think you're starting with an amazing story of a fascinating person, J. Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb, who was brilliant but also troubled and complicated and complex and contradictory. And his trajectory was contradictory. He was, in some quarters, he was known as the man who helped end World War II, and only to be, brought down low in the McCarthy era for having had communist sympathies when he was in academia. So he was at the pinnacle, and then he was at the nadir, and he had a very, complicated private life in between. And so you're dealing with some really rich material, including, one of the most, if not the most consequential piece of research and scientific inquiry of the 20th century. Then you have a filmmaker like Nolan at the top of his game, who is telling this story with every arrow in his quiver, visual, sonic, casting. I mean, the performances are out of this world. It's just a great piece of filmmaking.
Are you writing the Oscar nominations right now? Is this a slam dunk when we look ahead here for Oppenheimer?
I can't imagine anything otherwise. I mean, it's so superb on a purely aesthetic and technical level. I will say I have one quibble, and I've always had it with Christopher Nolan's films, which is the sound mix.
Yes.
He really loves his underscoring. He loves his music.
Yes.
And, I do too, but he uses it a lot. And I wish he would have pulled back, because we're talking about actors like Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer, Robert Downey Jr. as Louis Strauss, who was sort of his nemesis, and a whole ensemble of fabulous actors. Emily Blunt, who plays Oppenheimer's wife, Kitty, who's just fantastic. With people like these, actors like these, it's okay to let them talk. You just want to hear them talk and watch them act. So, but that aside, every other element of this movie is just at the apex, in terms of production value and beauty and expressiveness and meaning. It's a really powerful viewing experience.
And I'm so excited about this weekend, and the last few minutes with you have made me even more excited. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Elias.
That's Ann Hornaday, Washington Post movie critic, with her take on Barbie and Oppenheimer. Let me know which ones you're going to see. You can always send me a text at 514-800.